that this meeting has been duly called and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Government Code, Chapter 551. If we need to adjourn into closed session during the meeting, I will cite the subsection. You'll now join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will apologize that we were a few minutes late getting started for everyone who's here waiting on us. I apologize. For those of you in the audience watching, we were treated by our high school culinary arts program to a meal. And I hope everyone has the opportunity to enjoy one of their meals. They really do a good job. That's a great program. I think it's the second one I've had with them, and they always amaze me that I wish I could cook as well. We'll first call it roll. Daryl Owens.
Here.
Andrew Bisco.
Here.
John Clark. Here. Leslie Carruthers.
Here.
Michael Strange.
Here.
Ms. Moody is absent. She is ill. Are there any public comments on any items? Any comments on the agenda? Then we'll move to special district recognition.
I will start with the proclamation from the governor. It is School Board Recognition Month. So as we continue to face the unprecedented challenges presented by the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, the importance of ensuring a better tomorrow by securing our young people's bright and precious futures has never been greater. This year has brought the indispensable value of education into sharp focus as school districts across Texas continue to dedicate time and resources to ensure Texas students receive the best education possible regardless of the circumstances. Though we have encountered many new trials, the fact remains that a rigorous and well-rounded education serves as the best foundation upon which young Texans can build successful lives out of their dreams. School boards play a vital role in our efforts to improve education in Lone Star State. Across Texas, dedicated school boards work with parents, educators, and community members to create successful learning environments. Our school boards also have been instrumental in our state's educational response to COVID-19 by leading their districts in implementing safety measures, coordinating and facilitating online learning, and providing support to administrative staff, teachers, and parents and students. While school districts will always face new challenges as they serve the needs of students, Texans can count on their school board members along with other dedicated school officials to weather these trials, create opportunities to discuss important issues, develop innovative solutions, and empower educators while remaining focused on their students' futures. At this time, I encourage all Texans to join in recognizing and celebrating the work and success of our many school board members across Texas, and to remember that the children we nurture today will become the leaders of our state and nation tomorrow. Therefore, I, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, do hereby proclaim January 2021 to be School Board Recognition Month. So if you would all join with me in applauding our school board members and former school board members who are very instrumental in helping us do the business of our district. Thank you all very much. As Mr. Clark pointed out, our culinary arts at the high school, along with our National Honor Society who were serving us, did an incredible job this evening. Very thankful for that. Our campuses also presented our board members with gifts, and so we, for lack of room, we basically loaded up those gifts in their cars, but we are appreciative of all the gifts that everybody gave us, and we thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
All right, and now getting on with our recognitions, we have a few. We have been kind of shut down, so we're going to try to do this virtually to where we can recognize the accomplishments of our students and staff as we are progressing through the school year. We've had quite a few accomplishments already, and we'd like to recognize those. So pull that up. Okay, Carlos Tehran is the 2020-21 Hispanic Scholar College Board National Recognition Program. Mariah Mendia, I hope I said that right, is also the 2020-21 African American Scholar from the College Board National Recognition Program. Patricia Arnold is one of our staff members. She was published in a book called Technology Enhanced Learning and Linguistics Diversity. She has also been one of our presenters in working with our staff to try to help with our ESL programs, our bilingual programs, and we're very thankful for her contributions to our district. We had Brandon Hobb and Betty Bahika, who were both state qualifiers and ran at the state 4A cross-country meet. I believe that's a first in our district to have cross-country runners at state, so very pleased with their accomplishments there. Lucy Williams just qualified for All-State Choir, so congratulations to Lucy. And our Wildcat Marching Band placed 9th at state. Great effort in a very difficult year with COVID. They were facing bands who didn't have to do some of the restrictions that we had on their performance. So for them to finish 9th in this type of environment, very, very pleased with their efforts this year. Jalen Howe and Dylan Maurer off the band also made all-state bands, so congratulations to them. And volleyball. So I'm going to try to get through this here. We had Tatum Pavey, who was the all-state team district and district libero of the year. Maddie Piles was the all-state team, and she was the blocker for the district of the year. And Dallas Morning News honorable mention all area. Grayson Reed was the 4A setter of the year, okay, or district setter of the year. Katie Spell was all-state team. It was named to the all-state team. And Briley Steinhilber was all-state team, District 4A MVP, and Dallas Morning News second team all-area. And Alice Youngblood was the 4A server, or District 4A server of the year. So congratulations to these young ladies on a very successful season. And of course, the volleyball team made it to state. They lost to a very good Decatur team. Once again, we faced the state champion the first round of the playoffs of the state tournament and didn't get to the finals, but they had a great season. 24-4 overall. Many of those victories were against much larger 5A and 6A teams in a very tough year trying to schedule games. We had a lot of games canceled on them. So once again, very great effort. The entire team was all state academic. So great accomplishment there. So let's give them a great big applause. Then we had two cheerleaders, Taitlin Aguilar and Jordan Barnett, who were named to the NCAA All-American team. So congratulations to them. That's it. Okay, so I said we've had a few successes. So very, very, very pleased with our efforts of our kids and of our coaches and our sponsors. Like I said, it's been a very trying year, but they've done a great job and overcome a lot of hurdles and obstacles, and very, very proud of them all. So once again, big applause for all of them. On the what?
Paul Awards.
We did not do the Paul Awards, but they are on our website. I will get the Paul Awards next month and catch us up on the Paul Awards. Okay, all right, sorry about that.
That's okay. That brings us to item 6, the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered informational. It's not normally requiring much action by the board. Does any board member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for separate and individual consideration? Chair hearing none. I will ask, though, on item E, we have members from the Kendall Education Foundation here. I'd like to come up and give a brief presentation on the action that we will take in a group setting.
Good evening. I'll be brief. So we just wanted to make sure to present the board with money that we are allowing for grants. I just want to remind you the mission for Kendall Education Foundation is to partner with the community to provide resource to enrich teaching, inspire learning, and maximize innovative opportunity for all students of KISD. This year was particularly difficult knowing the situation with COVID, so we were really trying to give grants that were more technology-oriented for virtual school. And we were very happy to say we allow for 12 grants total for an amount of $15,000, around $15,000. Most of them will be for technology, again, like I said, for yearbook, computer, or it could be for outdoor classroom, so they could still have a classroom and respect the 6 feet requirement. So you have the list, I think, of all the teachers and all the different grants, and we are super excited about this year, and we would like to present the $15,000. Remember, in August, we gave you also the $8,000 grant for the Google certification. Same thing, we really, really want to help the teacher with the technology. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for the
Thank
help.
y'all for all y'all do for us.
With that being completed, I will entertain a motion to approve the items under the consent agenda as presented.
I make a motion to approve all items under the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Ms. Carruthers. Second by Mr. Strange. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. We next move to item 7, for information only, annual bilingual education ESL program evaluation report.
Texas Administrative Code requires all school districts with a bilingual education or ESL program to conduct an annual evaluation in accordance with the code. And so we have provided you all with this information. We've included data from 2018-19 as well as 19-20. The evaluation includes information on the student profiles, the content and design in regards to our bilingual model, the total population at each school, performance data, staffing, professional development that has been offered. And at the end, you'll see a summary of recommendations for strengthening the program. This is something that we have been working on. You'll see evidence of this in our district and campus improvement plans. And we look forward to continuing to build capacity in our teachers through professional development, as well as provide additional support to our students and families. This is for informational purposes only, no action needed. But I'm here to answer any questions if there's anything you'd like clarification on.
On the recommendation on the summary, page 3, so you had put there professional development for sheltered instruction. Well, I guess when I think of sheltered, that's like a dedicated ESL class.
So it's lowercase s and I, yeah. We're really looking for a partnership between content area teachers, specialized ESL teachers, to support our students in developing capacity and disciplinary expertise as well as language acquisition.
Are there any, I think it's special ed aids, is there any ESL aids for those 300 kids?
So we do have a paraprofessional at a central office. She joined us this year. And I would pass that off if you would like to. Dr. Keys, do you want to share more about the work that Jessica's doing this year?
So, Mrs. Meyer, she has kind of taken off where Mrs. Cruz, our previous bilingual para, has been working with the kids. So she has a schedule on the campuses, and she works with certain populations that are struggling primarily with like their reading skills, and they'll do things such as flip grids and working on conversational speaking, educational speaking, and also something to consider with regard to the
it up because I think, I know how difficult a job it can be with special ed students and trying to get all their needs met. Same thing with ESL, especially those that are new to the country or those that are not speaking Spanish. There's some language that maybe there's not really a student translator there. So it makes me think if we have roughly 300 kids that are ESL, but 1 aide at central office, that could be really tough, especially
Well,
for
and-
Delaney that's got
Yes.
some kids.
Well, something also to consider about the numbers that you see, even though it's 300 means students that are on their way to exiting the program, not necessarily newcomers, students that are currently going through the LPAC process where they'll just be in monitor phase. So 300 is a large number, but it doesn't mean that they're not English proficient, it's just based on coding.
But to your point, the staffing issue is something that is on our radar and something that we're discussing. And when you look at our demographic data and you look at the increase, it's certainly something that I think is worthy of conversation in the
No, I think
future.
for sure. I mean, I just imagine like if this paper was given to me in Spanish, right?
Right. Or
now,
Arabic.
vote on stuff,
Uh-huh.
I would be in trouble, right? So
Sure.
I think of those little ones that are walking in.
And their parents who are at home trying to support
Yeah,
them.
and
Right.
that's something we've also talked about as a newcomer program for our district, because we do realize the need to support people that come, and so that's also something that's in the works that we're excited to just have that additional layer of support. Like you said, they're coming in not knowing anything, especially beyond elementary, so that's a very valid suggestion.
And in short, and you'll see this in the district improvement plan, we are not where we want to be with our English learners, and that's certainly an area of opportunity for us where we continue to focus our efforts and focus our resources and energy, and we are making progress, and we will continue to do so in the upcoming years.
And in your defense, I see we have 18 different languages by our
Yeah.
students in this small district. I mean, think of any organization, different languages being spoken in their organization. So I recognize that it will take a lot of funding and a lot of personnel to accomplish. We focus on the basic Spanish.
Yeah.
I'm concerned and impressed that you're having 18 different languages in this district.
Purposeful progress is our goal.
Any other questions of Dr. Vick? Chair hearing none. This is just for informational purposes. There will be no action taken on it. Next item on the agenda is item 8, business items requiring action. First one is order the May 1, 2021 school board trustees election.
So we have time limits. Tracy, do you want to talk about the time limits, that requirements?
The application,
Tracy.
Can you,
You have to come down here.
Sarah, can we get a movable mic so we can pass it around? You want the kids to have it.
So that, we have all the application packets ready as of last Wednesday. Place 1, 2, and 3 are open this coming up for the May 1st election, and the deadline to submit an application for a place on the ballot is Friday, February 12th at 5 o'clock.
Any questions? Chair hearing none, I'll entertain a motion with regard to ordering the school board election for May 1, 2021.
make a motion that the Kennedale ISD Board of Trustees call for a board election for 3 trustee positions, place 1, place 2, and place 3 to be conducted on May 1st, 2021.
Motion by Ms. Carruthers,
Second.
second by Mr. Owens. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. Next item, business item requiring action is discuss and consider approval of board resolution to extend emergency paid sick leave.
Ms. King, would you like to come down and discuss this?
Good evening. The Families First Coronavirus Response Act was put in place beginning April 2nd of 2020 and expired on December 31st. A part of this act implemented emergency paid sick leave, which gave employees up to 80 hours of basically federal leave. And that applied to employees that were out, could not work due to illness of COVID-19. Because that Congress did not extend the federal leave after December 31st, we find it in the best interest of the district to continue that for up to 80 hours for employees that have not already utilized the leave.
And so the purpose of this is so they do not have to use their sick days.
Absolutely.
Times when we send them home for quarantine issues beyond our
Absolutely.
control, beyond their control.
Absolutely. They will utilize the leave up to 10 days. It's a benefit to the employees. It helps to protect their paycheck in the event that they do not have the leave to cover those days. And it maintain good employee morale as well. We've actually had approximately 95 staff members between the time period of September to December utilized emergency paid sick leave. And for the month of January, we have about 38 employees that it would affect if it went away.
Now, the people that have been sick between December 31st and now, are they going to be covered by this also?
With your resolution, approval
Yes.
of resolution, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone have any questions about the resolution or any changes they might want to make with regard to the resolution?
And with your approval of the resolution, it would be effective for employees up to June 30th of 2021.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will entertain a motion with regard to accepting the resolution to extend emergency paid sick leave as presented.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resolution to extend emergency paid sick leave as presented.
Motion by Mr. Bisco,
Second.
second by Mr. Strange. Is there further discussion? The chair hears none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair hears none. That motion passes unanimously. Next item is item C, review and approval of the 2020-2021 District Improvement Plan and Campus Improvement Plans.
Dr. Vu, principals,
So I am going to start by providing an overview of our improvement planning process for each of you, and then our campus principals will come down one at a time and give you a 1-minute summary of the plans that you have before you today. So I gave you all a hard copy of this presentation. It's also included in the board book. This BQ Legal states that a board shall ensure that a district improvement plan and improvement plans for each campus are developed, reviewed, and revised annually. They should be mutually supportive to accomplish the identified objectives and support the state goals and objectives under Education Code. So the purpose of the district improvement plan is to outline KSD's goals and performance objectives for improved student performance across all state achievement indicators and across all student groups, which you will see as you read and annotate has been done in our updated plans. Just an overview of what is included in our district improvement plan as well as our campus improvement plans. All of our district and campus improvement plans include a comprehensive needs assessment that is developed with the committee. It is a state requirement for all districts that receive title funds. It includes a deep analysis. We use multiple forms of data. The committee comes together. We create a needs assessment, priority problem statements, and do a root cause analysis, and use that data to drive the development of our performance objectives and strategies that you'll see before you. And then I've given just an overview of the difference between the larger goals, the performance objectives. So the larger goals are long-range goals, 3 to 5 years usually. Performance objectives are shorter-term goals, 1 to 3 years usually, and then each performance objective includes strategies. The strategies are the action steps that are to be taken in order to reach the performance objectives, and the performance objectives all work to serve the long-term goals or achievement of the long-term goals. All of these plans include all of the elements required under state and federal law. We have ensured that. You can review the addendum to see that as well. They are mutually supportive, so what you'll see is we have the 3 overarching goals that are listed here related to student achievement, engaged student families and community, and safe and supported learning environments. You'll see that across the district and campus plans, and then each campus developed performance objectives align with their particular grade levels to work in support of those larger goals. For the district improvement plan in particular, the DEIC reviewed and provided feedback on this plan in December of last year, a little less than a month ago. So if you look over the updated district improvement plan, some big important updates you'll see is that we have restructured to provide more coherence and continuity across the district and campus improvement plans. As I mentioned, Goal 1 relates to student achievement, Goal 2 relates to engagement across students, families, and community, and Goal 3 relates to safe and supportive learning communities. In addition to that, the performance objectives include the goals that were adopted by the board on April 28th of 2020, if you all remember that time. So those goals are listed here too, and they are also included in all of the campus plans. As I mentioned, the strategies are reviewed and updated to ensure alignment with the overarching goals and performance objectives, as well as a clear connection to the problem statements, root causes, and root causes that were identified during the comprehensive needs assessment. So that is just an overview of the process and how these plans were developed. And with that, I am going to leave it to the campus principals to come down one at a time and tell you just a little bit about their campus plans. Yeah, no particular order, Mr. Reiner. No particular order.
So about 2 years ago, stick with me, you guys, on this one. About 2 years ago, microwave went out. Keypad doesn't work except for one button, which was the plus 30-second button. So anytime you want to cook something for 2 minutes, plus 30, plus 30, plus 30, plus 30. So my wife's been complaining the whole time, we need to get a new microwave, and I'm like, but this still works. So 2 weeks ago, bought a new microwave. GE profile, stainless steel. I love this thing. Has a air fryer built into it, cooks poultry, it like everything pizza. It's fantastic. So I'm showing my wife all the things that this thing does. Like, this is the best microwave we're gonna ever have. So, a couple of days later, I'm watching her to see when she goes to go use it. And what does she do? Plus 30, plus 30, plus 30. So it hit me. This is what we do. We go back to what we know. Like, no matter what the new technology is, the best, most fantastic things, we go back to what we know. So on our campus, we're gonna focus on our PLCs, our professional learning communities. Our teachers have done a lot. They have made some big gains, but there are things that we want to drill down. We need to see what our data's telling us. We've kind of been shooting a little bit all over the place, but with our PLCs, where we can focus on, with our data talks, what are the kids learning? What are we doing when they learn it, and what do we do when they don't learn it? We want to make sure that we are on the right path. So our one big thing for this year is going to be our PLCs. So, any questions on?
We have that every day? How's
We,
that scheduled?
COVID, okay. So originally it was 3 days a week. Then we scaled it back to 2 days a week, and that's where we're settling right now. Now, it's for the month of January, it's just been 1 day a week because we've had finals, we've had map testing, things like that, but we're gonna ramp it back up to 2 days a week. Our goal when we're back on schedule is gonna be 3 days a week. So it still gives the teachers time to get things done that they need to get done, but also we can have those conversations and anything that's new that we want to introduce, we could talk as a department during that time.
You're doing pods, right? Or
Teams,
that's how they're meeting there, they're doing it by conference.
We're doing it by content. Yeah, we do have team meetings, that's once a week, and that's on Wednesdays.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, guys.
Good evening again. Great to see you guys. At Delaney, so we have our campus improvement plans, and then I think you have a copy of the RISE presentation. It's a little more condensed. But when I'm trying to sit here and think of the one thing we're focusing on, and, well, there's one that's documented, and then there's one that's not. So I'm going to tell you, as far as our students and their instruction, we need going in Tier 2 instruction. Tier 1 is grade level, on grade level. Tier 2, they need a little bit of help. Tier 3 is they're struggling a little bit more and need that pull-out help. Once the pandemic hit and we had to go to virtual last spring and even started this year, we knew there were going to be even more students that are going to need their Tier 2 that may not normally need that. So we started the year off talking with the teachers and really looking at the data, and then we do that in PLCs and in the team meetings. We also have our RTI meetings and really trying to provide the teacher support and tools to be able to address even more of the strugglers as we're just because of the situation that we're in. So we've been really focusing on that. We've had training on how to drill down to what those interventions might need to be for their individual students and the groups of students that are struggling to try to fill those gaps that are more prevalent than what a normal school year would be. The other thing I'll tell you that we're focusing on every day, and I'm gonna have to say kudos to my assistant principal, Laura Wells and Mr. Holguin, and all really the APs that are the contacts for the COVID, is keeping our doors open. Keeping our teachers safe, keeping our kids safe, keeping our families safe, and we work on that every day and trying to keep their morale up, because the teachers are doing a great job, and everything they can to try to meet the needs of the students. The parents aren't trusting us. We have 400 on our campus now, 150 at home. And so just every day, that communication with the families to make sure that we're being proactive and we're keeping our community safe. Because we know the best place for the kids to be is in the classroom with the teachers. And so I just really appreciate our staff, our school community, our parents, administration, Ms. Wells and Mr. Holguin, just really working together to try to continue to do that.
Question? Ms. Kate?
Good evening. I am not Corey Jones. I am Alicia Cunningham, the assistant principal at Patterson, and you're aware of the situation with Ms. Jones, so she asked me to step in for this evening. So, lots of things to celebrate going on at Patterson. We were really excited going into STAR last year because we're showing data and our kids are growing, and we had these projections that our kids were going to do really well, and then COVID came along and said, oh, no, never mind. And so we're going to build on those successes that we were looking forward to. Our data consistently shows our kindergartners are doing really well, and so we're praising our kindergarten teachers and trying to take what they're doing and roll that up so that our other grade levels can see what's going on. So in lieu of all of that, we do have some areas to work on, and so we're seeing discrepancies in our African-American population at certain grade levels and our Hispanic at certain grade levels. And so the conversations have all now gone around to that Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction. What does that look like? Why are they being successful in second grade, but they roll up to third grade and we see a decline? What's going on with that? And so having those conversations with teachers and trying to figure out instructionally what can we do as the rigor increases as you move up from second to third to fourth. And so we're doing that through PLCs and kind of researching ways to do PLCs differently than maybe we've done them in the past so that we have more face-to-face time with teachers, because we have 45 minutes. That's all we have in the school day. And so how can we maximize that time with them so that we can have those conversations like Mr. Rhines was talking about with data and kids and where are they? And so it's been great having those conversations and kind of restructuring a new plan and going forward with that new PLC plan. Okay. Any questions I can offer you?
How often are y'all having PLC? Because it's 45 minutes a day, is that every day?
They have a planning period every day, and so the plan that Ms. Jones and I are rolling out is that once a week, it's a very structured PLC where they meet with us or they meet with our instructional specialist and talk about specific things. And then the other 4 days are kind of theirs and they're with their teams, but we're giving them kind of an outline of things that we expect to be discussed, more formalized when they're there on their own versus when we're there. We're trying to get them to that mind shift of, you are the PLC, you have the strength, you have the tools as a teacher, versus sitting back and they seem to be in that habit of waiting for somebody to tell them what to do, and they have the power. They are the experts in it, so we're just trying to shift that mindset a little bit.
Anyone else?
All right, thank y'all so much.
Look forward to thinking of it.
Good evening. I have two things. I know I'm supposed to have one thing, but I have two things. One has to do with supporting our goal to reduce the number of in-school suspension and out-of-school suspensions. And this year, I'm very proud of our R&R classroom that we have created. It's a place where students can come and reset and refocus, and the data that we've taken on it has been tremendous. Students that have been in a self-contained setting in previous years are in general ed with inclusion support. They have specific goals that they've written for themselves, behavior goals that they are tracking every single day, and then taking that data and plotting it on a graph. And so the students are really taking ownership of their own behavior, and it's been incredible to see. And then the second thing is to help increase our meets and masters performance on STAR. And we also have been focusing more on making our PLC meetings effective. And the teachers have done a great job of thinking outside the box and trying new things. One thing that we did is we aligned our supplemental aids. And so the 5th and 6th grade teachers got together and determined what tools they were going to use when they teach different concepts. For example, like with main idea. 5th and 6th grade both decided they are going to use this graphic organizer to teach main idea. So some students, when it comes time to take a test or take the STAR, they can use a graphic organizer. Others can't. And so we're going to start teaching with this, and then eventually it looks like this, where it's blank. And then, so some students will be able to use that, but then others will be able to just draw this on scratch paper. So we've done this for reading, math, and science. And so, of course, a team of my teachers have taken it a step further. And on January 4th, we had a conference-style staff development at the high school, and one of the high school teachers, Mr. Creasy, taught my teachers how to create badges. And so now my teachers are making this also the data tracking folder. So the students have taken their map data and marked which TEKs they need to work on. And then they will have an opportunity to choose how they want to master that TEK. And once they do, they'll get a badge to put on the front of this folder. And so I'm really excited about the innovation that I'm seeing from my teachers. And those are my two things. Any questions?
You said the R&R class, what does R&R stand for?
Reset and refocus. So right now it's for students that receive 504 or special education services. And let's say they're in the classroom, they're frustrated, and you know, in years past, that meant instruction would stop. The teacher would deal with that one student while it stopped instruction for everyone else. This is a program where the student can go to another classroom that's set up to be a more calm place. They're given strategies on how to calm themselves down. This is something they practice daily. And so it's supposed to be really where they reset and refocus and then get back in class. And while they're doing that, the teacher is continuing to teach the other students.
That's good.
I think that's, for us as adults, I think we've learned or seen strategies on what to do, but as kids, they don't.
Yeah.
Not always learned at home or from their friends or whatever, so that they're getting those skills. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions?
Quick question. How do you think that your PLCs are helping facilitate the student ownership of their own data and what they're doing?
I think it's really working two ways. I think by the students knowing it, it's helping the teachers know their strengths and weaknesses. And so, not that they didn't before, but we're paying a lot of attention to data more than we ever have before. And so I think that the students and teachers are equally aware of what the students know and what they don't know. Did that answer your question? Okay.
And it's the students that's the students' folders, not the
Yes.
students. So the students are the ones tracking their.
Yes, they keep this with them at all times, and it goes from class to class with them, because it has their supplemental aids and then their data tracking sheet. And then as they achieve things, they get a badge.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it's been since February that I've got to address the board, so we're going to make up for time. But no, I'm kidding. One thing I do want to say it is, hold on, I know everybody. For everybody here that doesn't know, it is Board Appreciation Month, and the KHS Culinary Program, which is one of our newest programs, prepared dinner for the board, and I got to eat in that meal. It was a 4-course meal, and I don't think any of us are doing real well right now as far as our comfort levels, but I want to take that opportunity in Board Appreciation Months and give our appreciation so that we can have programs like that. And I talked about the facilities and programs that as a Class 4A school district we're able to have. I want to welcome our 2 new board members that we have and the 2 outgoing board members for their service. Both of our 2 outgoing board members had children that went to Kennedale High School, and our 2 newest members have children that went to Kennedale High School, and so I appreciate everything you do. We worked on collectively, this group behind you over the last several months has been pretty amazing and has been kind of a band of brothers and sisters, I guess you would say, that has really worked hard to retool and re-equip this district to get ready for the hybrid model of learning. I've submitted a campus improvement plan that I'm sure that no one is going to have time to read, but we have been very, very in-depth, and we conducted a very in-depth needs assessment because this was an important year. And so tonight, we were asked to tell you what is the one main thing, and that really got me to thinking because I can include quite a few things. Our campus improvement plan has 144 strategies to address a lot of the things that we need to do from anywhere, things that are required, from having alcohol programs at the high school and those campus improvement plans to the major board goals that you have. And so there are lots of things that we've put in that improvement plan, but when I thought about what is the one thing that we want to do at Kennedale High School, I thought about a conversation that Mr. Clark and I had before this meeting, and that was the slower rollout of the vaccine. We now know that in a metropolitan area of 7.5 million or so people, and the rate that the vaccines are coming out and some of the things that our scientists are saying, this is not the COVID situation in the state that we're in right now is not a one-year temporary thing. This is going to be most likely well into next year, and some scientists believe 3 to 4 years of being in this. So this is the true reality. And so when I think about what is our one thing, I guess I could sum that up in one sentence in what we're doing and the approaches that we're taking. The one thing that we can do is in this current environment, we can make sure that we strive or that we thrive and not just survive. And so I'm going to leave that there. We have been taking a lot of investments in professional development. We have taken a lot of investments and talking with some at dinner tonight in resources to increase our technology capacity at the high school. We are taking stock on making sure that our teachers have time. We extended the school day this year so that they could all be in PLCs. We haven't had that opportunity in previous years. A lot of things that we do have been a little bit new and a little bit sometimes uncomfortable for everyone, but we've given our teachers an opportunity to retool, to refocus, and to really get good at what they do. And we're seeing some great results from that. So right now, the other part of that is we had fall competitions. We've got spring competitions. We're going to have accountability in the spring. We're still going to have STAR testing. And our kids in Kennedale are going to be competitive, and they're going to be compared to kids from other districts around the state. And so I go back to that. The main focus, the one thing, is to make sure we thrive, not just survive. Any questions?
I don't see it. Thank you very
Okay.
much. And I will say that I do appreciate everyone's efforts. You guys have taken, for example, the high school, 173 pages. And that's our deep dive. And we're not supposed to be there. That from a board governance, that's not what we're supposed to be. You brought it to 7 pages or 5 pages, and you're working to bring it to 1 page. From our hierarchy, we got to be 50,000 feet. That 1 page is our 50,000 feet. That will be what we look at our goals. And it is an impossible task, and I commend you all. I read your 173 pages. I don't remember much of it, but I read it. And I think we all take the time to look at that. That's our deep dive, but that's not our focus. Our focus is that 1 page you can give us, because that tells us what's important to you, and you know your kids, you know your teachers, and you know your staff. So I appreciate this because it fits with what we are trying to do. Get back to a goal that we monitor. And where those goals all come from what you give us. So I appreciate your work. Any other
Definitely,
comments?
definitely. I'd just like to say thank you to all the teachers and staff and administrative. I know that with all the stuff that we're going through at this time in this world, that it is a struggle to make sure that you have the focus and can keep the focus to keep the kids, prepared for all these things. And having goals and setting standards for those students so that they are not only prepared for what happens here in Kennedale, but what happens after they leave Kennedale is something that we are, as a board, is taking a look at and happy, or are very happy with what the results are. Our kids are going places and going to different colleges, or going to the Army and going to trade schools, or, going to work, and most of them are succeeding. And a lot of that is because of what you guys are doing. So, thank you.
I don't take it lightly and take for granted that when it comes to self-improvement, it takes a deep look at yourself. And I appreciate all the effort that's gone into you taking a look at your campuses and what you feel your main rocks are that need to be corrected. So the effort that's been going, that has gone into producing these reports, I just want to congratulate you as well for doing that. And thank you for presenting it. And just let us know what you need to get there.
If there are no other comments, then I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed 2021 District Improvement Plan and Campus Improvement Plans as presented.
Make a motion to approve the proposed 2021 District Improvement Plan and Campus Improvement Plan as presented.
Motion by Ms. Carruthers. Second by Mr. Strange. He just beat you by a little. Any further discussion?
Gotta get quicker there.
Chair hears none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair hears none. That motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we have our audit about to come up, our financial audit. Staff, if you would like to leave at this time, you do not have to stay any further. Appreciate you coming in and giving the presentation. If you want to stay and listen to the audit, you're more than welcome to do so.
Your days are starting like at 6 o'clock, so I know you have a long day.
And hopefully I would say also that you hear that the PLCs, you kept hearing PLC, 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 and that is a driving force in what we are looking at doing, so. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
job.
Very good.
They made it, you said something made me think, do we have that list of what the percentage of virtual students and in-person students are right now?
I don't know if we have the numbers right now, I mean, I can get them for you. But,
Y'all gave it to us last month, or we got some?
We were running, still slightly above.
I'm curious more campus by campus.
When you could just shoot it out.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, that number, right now.
I know our high school numbers have gone down, we're more virtual right now. How, sorry? 400. Yeah, they got 400, so they're high, so their percentage is going in person. No, they got 400 in person. That's one campus, so it varies by campus, the high school numbers.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah. Well, there's
We're working on it.
two
We're working on it. Get more flexi fuel. Wire, we have a company that cuts it, they had coronavirus issues, so. We got it ordered,
That's my thing.
cut and delivered. The teachers want more shields for the virus. The one that we put out way back in the summer. We did a second round of them and they need more.
I think y'all can go ahead and start.
All right,
We won't be distracted.
Mr. Adams, I'll let you introduce and start here, so.
Okay. We have a 95-page audit report
Yep.
that only about 1 or 2 pages is the stuff that's really important. The rest of it's government-required information. So I'll turn it over to Rick Rogers. I believe this is their second.
So you have a condensed version of the audit, so that's what this is their presentation
This
over
is
the
what
audit.
they will go over. I got it Friday afternoon, and Tracy had already left for the day, or it would have been in your packet, but, so I just made you copies. Okay, Rick?
All right.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good, I can pull this down, I can actually breathe. Oh. Well, just sort of what Jimmy alluded to there. We've got a nice long blue bound copy up here. Is actually what gets sent to TEA, but in the interest that the accountants don't bore you with a bunch of stuff information you don't need. I was a board member, board president for 13 years, and I got told lots of times, like, don't give us all the details of this. So what I try to do with the little presentation package is just give you the highlights. And by all means, if y'all have a questions, just stop me and let's answer your question. I don't know, just the environment we're in and all the crazy things have gone. It also occurred financially this last year. And I've had some districts that we did that were just in totally bad shape. And I just would like to brag on your administrative staff and Jimmy and, you know, the accounting work your district is doing is an excellent job. So it's very good to actually get to do an audit instead of a reconstruction job. So there you go. It's definitely nice. Okay, I'm going to try to cover the highlight areas. And so last year, basically every time I've always gone to board training, well, they would always ask me, said, well, what's your fund balance? What they wanted to know, what was your general fund balance? And last year, our fund balance in general fund went from $12,810,000 down $2,083,000 to $10,726,000. And I look at that and it's like, okay, why did we come down? And a lot of that had to do with the facility. You had a lot of roofing and some other areas that were very vital to your district. And it looked like to me, from an accounting standpoint, outsider, it looked like the money was well spent in that area. And like I said, it's just been a strange area. The other funds, I don't usually bore you with those because those are most of all state and federal grants. And, you know, as board members, you don't have control over those things. Also, the other area is your interest and sinking fund. And actually, out of that $2,587,000 year-end fund balance, $2,071,319 was the interest and sinking fund. So you can see that basically that's where the additional fund balance is. Now, because that you keep your records exactly the way they're supposed to be kept, you account for every dollar that comes in this district. state money, property tax money, you go borrow money, whatever the source is, every dollar is accounted for, and every dollar that goes back out is accounted for. And, you know, it doesn't matter if we're paying payroll or principal and interest or whatever, everything is accounted for. And it's a darn good system. But there is a flaw in that system. They figured out way back in 2002 that if your board president and your superintendent had gone down at the bank and they said, okay, we need some real big facility upgrades, and they had gone down at August 31 and borrowed $50 million and said, we've got to do some facility upgrades, that $50 million would have added to your fund balance. And if you're like construction people I work with, there's no way you would have spent that money in one day. So what happened is that $50 million would have added your fund balance. So instead of being $10 million at year end, you'd been $60 million. And the argument was like, why should we be able to borrow money and make ourselves look better? So that's why they came out with a second set of financial statements. And basically, if you'll do this, to kind of oversimplify it, if you'll take your fund balances at year end at 13 million, and to it, you'll add your buildings, your equipment, your furniture, subtract depreciation off that, and also subtract off debt, you'll convert that fund balance into a net position. Your net position at start of the year was $9,867,000. It went up $1,982,000, ended up at $11,850,000. Now, what that tells me in a nutshell is that your district is financially better off at the end of the year than what you started the year, you know, with everything that was taking place. Now, my only problem with that whole area is we are required by the accounting standards to pick up your district's part of the unfunded state level of teacher retirement and your health insurance. And those are big numbers. And so what I've done is I kind of feel like that those are liabilities that are not under your control as a board or a district. And so what I've done is given you what would your net position have done during the year if you had not mixed in those numbers. And it's also quite interesting that here several years ago, somebody at TEA figured out that's not really a good view either. And so your school first rating it takes those liabilities out also. So, but basically, what's under control of the district, your net position would have been $30,414,716 at the beginning. You would have added $3,079,000 and ended up with $33 million. To me, that is a better indication of what happened in the district, and it just shows that financially, you're $3 million better off than what you started the year. So that to me is a very positive move for the district. Now, because I'm a believer that we study history, I've given you sort of a chart of economic factors and attendance data for the last 5 years. You'll notice that your ADA last year ended up at 2,776.3. It was down some from the year before. Our staff was 386. You may wonder, it's like, why is he giving us those numbers? Well, probably 40 years ago, I had some superintendents that were teaching me that, okay, when you have a situation, we have a district and you look and see and your ADA, your number of kids is going down, and for whatever reason, your staff, the number of staff you got's going way up, it's not a good combination. And so that's just why I put that in there, just to give you a quick comparison. Your district looks good in that area. I think it's a great thing that the long-term debt, your mostly bonds and so forth, dropped from 33 million down to 29 million. That's very positive. Also, your property tax values went up from $1,375,000 to $1,580,000. That's very positive. And you remember from House Bill 3, so a year ago, they made you take your $1.17 tax rate and compress it down to, in y'all's case, you moved it down to 1.0683. So your actual ADA attendance was down 4.19%, but your state revenue was down less than 1% at 0.61. So, you know, I can just tell you, it's like, when I first went in this way back last August, I was thinking, it's like, well, every district, it should be spending more money on payroll. They're gonna have the way the state's talking, a bunch more state revenue and less local revenue. And that theory worked for a little while, but there's a lot of districts that that didn't work for. It's just been an environment that everything was kind of changed, I guess you can say the COVID environment, so with ADA changes and everything else. Now, also, usually I can tell a lot of about the operation of your lunchroom fund, if you're having to kick in a lot of extra money in that to make it operate out of your general fund, you did not have to transfer any funds in that area. So that was very positive. Now, as far as the audit itself, we're required to give you various opinions. Is one, we pick up your financial information and look at it, and if you say you've got X number of dollars in the bank, we verify that with the bank that, do you really have that money? We get confirmation. We check for your property taxes and different assets and liabilities and so forth are all confirmed. And then if we think your records are reasonable, we give you an opinion, on what's called an unmodified opinion, which just basically means it's not modified for a problem. So you got a clean opinion and a great report for the district there. TEA requires that every district in the state have a governmental auditing standards review also. And with that, basically we have to check, does your district have internal controls to protect your financial assets? We felt like your system is very good in that area. You've got controls and different people involved in it, looking at each other, so it just makes it harder to have fraud in your district. Now, you know, I'm not gonna waste your time with a bunch, it's like your student activity funds and stuff like that, and it's a lot harder in those areas right there. And that's been that way since the beginning of time. But like I said, y'all have got a good system. We also have to check, according to TEA, to see how you're doing with various laws, such as, has the bank pledged enough security so if they go under, you guys don't get hit with losing, you know, $1 million worth of cash, and that doesn't make y'all look good. So we have to make sure you're complying with that. We also have to check and see if there's transactions with board members, and about 15 different regulations, and y'all pass in flying colors with all those. Those are all very good. Now, because your district receives more than $750,000 in federal revenue, you have to have a special government single audit, and we have to check some of your largest major programs. Last year, we checked out your child nutrition program, and we did not uncover any areas in which your district was not complying with the law. So y'all were good there, complying with the rules and regulations in that area, as far as your federal program. Now, I'm just gonna, I guess one thing I didn't point out is that your fund balance at the general fund ended up at $10,726,000 there, but you also had been overpaid by the state at $1,081,000, and that has already reduced your fund balance, so you don't have to worry about that coming back and hitting you again, so to speak. But that was where we settled up with TEA at year end. The next page just gives you a 3-year comparison of your revenues. You can basically see that things that surprised me this year, like I said, with the reduction in tax rates, is actually your local revenue was up $613,000. Your state revenue was only up $73,000. And on the beginning, I thought those numbers would be a little larger after House Bill 3, and your federal revenue was up $256,000. So I guess the good news is overall, you were up in all areas of your revenue. The next page just gives you a comparison of your expenditures by different categories, and those, what I try to do with this for the most part, just give you an idea with your regular operating expenditures, how much are you spending on payroll costs and so forth. And it's like for this size district, I would normally expect 75 to 80%. Now, every time I went to board training, they'd always tell me, it's like, well, you're supposed to spend 85%. Well, 85% is just fine if you're Houston ISD. But, you know, for those of us that's not quite that large, well, that number comes back. We actually have a little school district, one of them, my brother does the audit on, is Benjamin, and they're lucky if they can spend 65% on payroll. So they have less than 100 kids in their district. So that number just gets adjusted based on the size of your district. So there again, I'm expecting 75 to 80%. Y'all came in at 78%, and your payroll cost overall for the district were up $1,011,000 last year. So to me, that was a positive effect from House Bill 3, is the fact that we're, you know, spending more money with our teaching staff, so to speak, and then I think that was a positive move. Next page just gives you the expenditures with every category. You'll notice that those payroll costs, it shows are up $1,011,000. But probably the biggest change was that your capital outlay, which for the most part was there was major roof repairs and so forth. You also had some $934,000 worth of AC units and lighting. So a lot of additional funds were spent in, you know, taking care of facilities. So that's always a positive move when you can do that. The next page is, I'm just required to give you a report that tells you we did not cover any material weaknesses in your internal control system for financial assets. The next report is a year-end report, addressed to you as governments. And basically, the main areas I looked at that is we did not encounter any difficulties in performing the audit. The few areas that we did have some adjustments, so forth, those were made and accepted, and they're good at that area, and we didn't have no disagreements with management as far as the report. The last page is a management letter. It's just my chance to give the district a little bit of things that I hope will help as far as operating this next year, so to speak. One is, the first thing is, you were required a year ago, September 1, 19, to start taking your student activity funds. And always in the past, we just sort of did this little recap. I said, here's your cash balance, we added this, we took this out, and here's your in. And the rules changed and said, okay, well, you gotta start doing a regular income statement as far as your audit and so forth with those funds. I'll be honest with you, as a board member, I don't think that's gonna help y'all run your district one bit better. But they put those requirements in you were supposed to start last September. And we came along here in the summer and they said, oh, you can put it off a year. Well, most everybody had already done it. So y'all had already completed that, so you don't have to worry about that. The last page is the area about leases, and it may not affect your district, but if it comes down, here's what's gonna happen. The rules on leases have changed to where they don't go in effect until this coming September 1. But the rule is basically with this, if your district were to, let me just pick a hypothetical situation. If you were to go out and lease five buses, and just say that number was 500,000. If you're gonna do that for 3 years, and at the end of 3 years, you could buy them for what they were worth at that point, or you could just let the, leasing company have them back. Well, in the past, what would happen is every year when you made your payments, we'd just record a lease payment. But now, since it's longer than 1 year, so this will affect your budget for the next year, if y'all do have one, is that when you get those 5 buses and you lease them, instead of counting for this like a lease, it's gonna be like you bought them. You borrowed money and you bought the whole thing. And then when you make your payments, instead of making a payment of lease payment, you're gonna record a payment of principal and interest. So it's just a little mechanical change there. But that, like I said, doesn't affect you till next year. The last thing that I'm gonna hit on is, we've had several districts last fall that had gone through lunchroom or child nutrition audits with the feds, and they basically are required to go in and hit every district every 3 years. And their main concern was the little thing y'all got called the Business Operations Manual. And it's funny, because Jimmy may think basically it's a little book that everybody put together because they had to, threw it in a drawer and said they kind of forgot about it. But the feds are all worried about the micro purchases section on it. So I'm just telling everybody, it's like, if, when you get a chance, just update that thing. Let me just see what questions y'all might have.
I don't think anybody has any questions. Again, I like the report format. I think it's very, very straightforward. It gives us a good overview, and you can always go dig into more detail if there are. Jimmy, you know what you gotta do? I'm sorry the extra work the feds are throwing on you, but how that goes.
Well, it's nice to have somebody that's knowledgeable in the district. Very nice.
I don't think we have anything, so I think.
Very thorough, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very thorough presentation.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Yes, sir. I need to get approval, so TEA will accept this. And
Sign it.
I'll send it to me and Chad, or Jimmy and somebody. Next item is a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
Make a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
Motion by Mr. Strange,
Second.
second by Mr. Owens. Any further discussion? Chair hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair hears none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
signature there. Secretary signature there.
You get to skip these. Here you came from another district.
I'm sorry, do what?
Here you came from another district right to us.
Yes, sir.
Long nights.
That was a wild trip over there.
Thank you for coming.
Pizza is outside of Weatherford, isn't it? Yes. Yeah.
And y'all have anything you don't have to say about
Did you ever have a friend named Lewis?
Glenn would be the closest I come.
Thank you, sir.
That brings us to item 9, personnel resignations, hiring personnel and other matters. Mr. Green and I talked about at some point in time, it might be helpful if we move those up into the consent agenda as well. I wanted to kind of ask the board how they felt about doing that. We normally don't do much on it, it's more of an informational thing.
Yeah.
If that's something y'all want to consider, we'll talk about it at our next setup, but if you want to leave it the way it is, we can as well.
Now, will that affect us going into a closed session if we have some discussion about that?
We can still keep that on, and we can do it even out of the consent agenda, we take care of the part we can, or stop.
And separate it out?
We could separate it out and do it at the end anyway. It might move the meetings along when we get back to focusing on, our goals.
If it's not an action item,
We normally don't do anything, we don't have to do anything.
More information.
If there were, we always make a note, but we can talk, if there's gonna be some action, I can move it out. But if there's not any action on it, it might be easier just to let them
That'd be
present it. We take care of it. There you go. We have no action to take with regard to item 9, nothing in closed session. Okay. That brings us to the superintendent's report.
Okay.
Upcoming meetings. We have a regular meeting scheduled right now.
So we set the meeting for February 4th, tentatively, unless there's conflicts. Tracy, we didn't see any conflicts on the 4th, did we, with district conflicts? So we're going to leave the meeting with Mo Casey and the community. I think, have we received all names for the community outreach? Okay, so So if y'all could give us your names. we'd
Just three
appreciate it.
suggestions, just give
Oh,
them
do
their address or something so they can reach out
So,
to them
yeah.
and start the queue.
We gotta have time to get invites sent out to them.
Yeah, I
It will
understand.
be an open meeting, or we'll have an open invitation also to people in the community for that meeting. We said 6 o'clock or 6:30?
I think it's at 6:30.
6:30.
6:30,
Yep.
and then we will have like pizza or something that we can have at it.
What date was that?
4th.
February 4th.
You weren't here for the meeting. The plan was to have that community meeting with us present, get a conversation, they'll break out in groups, answer some questions, and try to gel down working documents for us to have input on as well as we move forward.
6:30 here.
6:30, probably here, I think.
I would think we're gonna have it at the junior high, at the in the
Someplace
cafeteria.
big.
Bigger space so we can spread out. And then, the regular board meeting is on the 18th. We talked about having 6 o'clock, having a dinner, and then, having the meeting at 7. Everybody still in favor of that?
That was for team building, kind of give us more opportunities to know each other, talk freely. Can't talk about agenda stuff, but meet family and have those kind of conversations.
February 18th.
Yes.
What time?
Start at 6 for a meal if you can make it. You know, it's not, nothing big, just to try to make it where we can have some chance to talk together, we don't get together otherwise. But no action items on the, no school business, just conversation.
We're trying to build trust and relationships, but, you know, all the people.
Yeah.
What time is that again?
6:30.
No, that one's 6 o'clock.
Do what?
On the 18th?
That's 6 o'clock on the 18th.
Sorry, 6 o'clock, I'm sorry.
Where's that at? Yeah, building, you know.
Probably dinner will probably be at the high school again, up on the phone, and then come over like we did tonight.
And we do need to make an effort to try to complete like 10 minutes early as we get here and don't keep public waiting.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be a 4-course meal, it'll be something simple.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks from that meeting, we're gonna look at having the next Moke Casey meeting. We're gonna be looking at having those Moke Casey meetings basically we'll have a meeting every 2 weeks. Does that sound accurate to everyone?
Yeah, that's what we talked about.
And that'll be another community meeting starting at 6:30.
And we're going to do it on a Wednesday night, right?
We talked about moving on those to Wednesday nights after that first one. So is that something that everybody's in favor of, or do you want to leave them on Thursday?
Everyone here was okay with it, but we didn't have church issues. We might find out from the community that we lose members. We kind of got, I think, have our first meeting and see.
I would say Thursday would probably be better, but
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do it, plan for the Thursday the 4th, March 4th.
March
also.
4th is that 2
Yeah.
weeks away from the other. So
Yeah.
basically it'd be February 4th and March 4th for those meetings. And then we can set the next one after that. All right. We good on dates?
Good on
Times?
dates? Mandatory cyber training?
Okay, y'all have the campus s'mores, right?
Yes.
Okay, so those are just for your information. What we talked about, let me discuss the principal's s'more reports. We've gone back and forth. How much info do you want from the campuses? How much do you want them reporting out? We're having them provide the s'mores, which would basically just simply be their campus newsletters coming out to you. That way you get the information what's going on the campus, but then we can focus more with the principals coming up and giving data reports. And that would be more kind of where we were going to head with that. Just give you the information for the campuses, and then instead of having them come up and telling all that, just have them focus on their data reports. Does that sound
Sounds
good to
good.
everybody?
Yep.
Are these s'mores, are these created just for our board meetings, or they're going out to their families and students?
Usually they use the same info that goes out to the
Yeah.
families to you as well. So.
Yeah, I'm good. I hate that they have to make all that just for us, but if
Yeah,
this is
no.
something that's already being rolled out to the families, and it's just being attached for our own purposes, I think that.
Like I said, I think it's just their general newsletter. Some of
Yeah.
them put them in s'mores, other ones put them in a newsletter format. Okay. All right, I'm on my list here, I'm not seeing. So I have, on mine, I show A is the campus s'mores, B is the superintendent value. Basically, the timelines, clarifying the timelines. You got the tool, and you've got the documentation and artifacts that were sent out to you. The feedback needs to be turned into Mr. Clark by, he said, the February 1st, okay? So that'll go to him, and then he and I will meet, and he will give me the feedback in the meeting, and then we will discuss it at the February board meeting.
John, you want us to just email that to you, or turn it in? How do you?
Well, I think you can make all the additions on it. I think you can send that to me as a Google Doc, or how you want to secure it, so we don't
Okay.
change it. Send it to me, just my school email,
Yep.
and then I'm gonna get it together as a packet. I'm gonna meet with Chad and say, here's what we've got currently, here's what the issues are. He'll then have information to bring back to us when we complete the evaluations. Well, there's one part of the evaluation that we will do as a group. But we'll also have a chance for him to say, I got these comments, I appreciate the comments, I would like to respond.
Right.
Just so that if you hear the response, maybe it makes you feel differently as an individual board member. I'll offer every opportunity to make any adjustments to it. If there are any adjustments, the tabulation is done. If there are adjustments, I'll have to recalculate. Okay?
Okay.
Art, that's
Sounds
fine,
good.
everybody done? Okay.
Okay, the first reading of update 116, so we have another update coming up. So the first reading will be in February, so we'll get that out to you. We'll go from there. The videos, are y'all able to utilize the videos to help you with the viewing and give you the overview? Some of you haven't had an opportunity yet, but I think we send the TASB video, the short little video that kind of goes through and summarizes everything. I think those are helpful for you. The
Which video are you talking about?
it's the TASB videos, but they basically summarize the update, you know. Yeah,
Oh, for the readings, okay.
okay. Yeah, I think those are the best way to kind of get a good synopsis of it. The other thing, we have a scheduled meeting with TASB. Megan is coming in May, right now, or April, I think. It may be virtual, sorry. Right now, TASB's not doing in person, so it's virtual. But basically, it is a audit of our policies, a policy audit, and they will spend the day with our administrators going through and making sure, you know, that what we're doing is in practice with what our policies are, so it's a good way for us to do. Any conflicts or areas where we feel like the policies are not consistent or need to change, then we'll meet with the board with those policies and the recommendations from TASB. It's a good thing to kind of go through and make sure your policies are lined out. And with all the updates and everything that's gone through, it's just a good way to make sure that everything's good with the district.
And if there's a board member that has something within the policy issues that you want to have clarification on or want to work on, put it in writing, email it to Tracy so she knows it'll be part of that conversation. So they can look at it and say, we can't do that, or we can do it, and we'll get back on those too.
And then UTA wanted to know if there were any questions after they gave their presentation and they gave you the report, if there are any questions on their study. We've also asked them to look at the new proposed development to see how that could also impact there. So they're working on that, but they also wanted to know what questions you have, or if you had any questions, get those to me and we can get those to them to basically clarify before they do the final product, sorry. Get it right in a minute. Okay. All right.
Can you give us I know some of y'all were at that Arlington meeting. Can you tell us what happened?
It comes up later.
Oh.
We'll have to
Okay, that's the discussion, so we'll kind of go into the next area of that. Okay.
We have a cybersecurity training, I have cybersecurity training.
So
Okay.
you want us to send you any questions that we have?
About the UTA
About the
study,
UTA study.
So they gave you the big study, and then the presentation that they did basically just took slides and combined slides for the presentation. So you had in your last board book, you had the big study itself.
I mean, if you have a question to the methodology or.
Something you don't understand and want clarification on.
Well, they just didn't answer one question that I was curious about, which actually works into what Arlington was doing, because they did not have a number about what they thought the projection would be at build-out for all the Kennedale ISD space that, you know, and I would like that number, because that was not included.
Okay. Will you email that to me so I can
I'll send it
voice
to you.
that and better, because if I try to remember it, I'm not going to voice it well. Okay, and I think think that's it for the superintendent's report. Now we're ready to move into board discussion.
Are we doing cybersecurity? We need to tell people that to do that.
Is that under board superintendent report or board?
Board discussion.
Board discussion.
We've done meeting dates, we've done, so.
Yeah, Brian, you want to come talk about the cybersecurity real quick? Okay. Sorry.
All
to
right.
put you on the spot.
So it's okay. The cybersecurity trainees, House Bill 3834, it's a requirement. Every staff that has access to a district computer has to complete this, and it includes elected officials. So this year is a little bit different. I've saw some of you have taken it, and it's a little bit better than last year's. It's a little more involved. There's 10 questions instead of like 5 or so, and some of them you kind of need to read the, the point of the quiz is to make sure you've watched the video. So the idea is you watch the presentation and then take the quiz, and those results are automatically recorded, and those are for our records. And then in June, the board members will need to sign off on. I'll tell you, I'll certify that we've got all these, we can account for all the staff, and then you'll sign off on that, recognizing that we did offer this program. Okay.
So when do we have to do that by?
I've asked that it be complete by April on there, just kind of learning from last year, giving me time to start talking to people who haven't maybe done it yet and make sure we get all the results in. So
Would you share the site where they go to look at it, and tell where we need to go to look at it to pull that training module?
absolutely, yeah. I think anyone, if you've not received that email from me, let me know, and I can resend it, or
That was in the fall, wasn't it? Didn't we get that in the fall?
there was one that I just, no, yeah, well,
It was April, wasn't it?
Well, my wife got it.
are you talking about last year, or
For this training. so
this last one? Okay.
Yeah, send it back to me. 'cause
So
my wife
y'all
got it.
didn't, okay.
I don't
Yeah,
think I
I'll
got
make
it.
sure you guys all got it.
I'm confident I didn't get it.
Last year.
You did or did not? Okay, all right.
Just send the email out.
So I sent it out to the staff and not you, is what I did. Yeah, I can take care of that, absolutely.
All right, anything else?
Anything else? Any other questions on that?
You're good? Thanks,
Okay,
Ron.
thanks, y'all, appreciate it.
And that brings us to the ongoing discussions with the developers with regard to items and property.
Rob, you, okay? This is Rob Cronin, he's the engineer that works developing the development, and I'm not sure who's with you. So. Cliff McCoskey, he's a land planner and zoning consultant with MMA. Okay. And I'd emailed some information you, Chad. He got it to me, and I'd already left the office, and I didn't have a chance to get it to him, so I got out.
So y'all
Okay.
with Arlington?
No, we're with MMA, we're a land development consultant firm, civil engineering, land planning, landscape architecture, surveying.
You're neutral.
Counted right. Counted right. Yeah, we went for myself. So basically what you're looking at, we heard the phone calls and, I can't put faces and voices together. Everything was virtual and it was pretty difficult taking us all the pandemic to master how, to handle that system. But the biggest thing I heard was the concern of the location of the entrance, was concerns of the bus routes. I did a little bit of research on your KSD's busing system, and, it says that, elementary students their bus stop can be a quarter mile from the house, from the residence. A quarter mile actually puts them all the way to Sublet Road, but I want to demonstrate that the main entrance to the site, which is located northwest of the Kroger, that's the entrance in and out. There is an entrance right behind the Kroger, but that's an emergency access only. By fire code, we're required to have 2 entrances, just in case one of them is blocked by, whatever the emergency is. So the main entrance is to the northwest of the Kroger site. We do have a
pretty good-sized landscaping area out there where we could put a sidewalk, we can put a bus pad, and there's ample turn-in room. There are easements that were dedicated for the development of this lot, for that drive behind the Kroger, and then to the west of Kroger, and then all the way down to the light at Sublet Road. And that light at Sublet Road has a right-hand turn lane in it, and so it's a signalized, so again, my assumptions were that, a bus would be traveling from the north, starting at the furthest extents of your district and coming down south and taking a right-hand turn at that Kroger site, picking up the students at the entrance of the complex, which there are security lights. There are 4 security lights, I believe, behind the Kroger. There's one right where the bus stop would be located, and then taking a left and going down to the light, and then taking a right to head to the schools. In the Delaney Elementary and your intermediate school, the only 2 schools that qualified for a bus pickup, this is actually closer to Patterson, but it's in your Delaney district.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was a question.
Now,
Hey, I just got a question. Is there a Whataburger coming right there?
Yes.
Man, you just made my night.
Mine too,
focus, focus.
They might be breaking ground, breaking ground next week, so, yeah,
For real?
yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, all brought to you by United Commercial Development, who's also the developer of this townhome project, so.
Where is that access point to Whataburger come in relation to the existing road?
So Whataburger will have an access come in, they don't have one off Sublet Road, they have an access off the main drive, and they have 2 accesses.
I'm just looking, I see, I saw the curving road here, I'm trying to get where it comes.
Right, so
Is it coming here?
Whataburger's right here, no, Whataburger gets an access right here, and then they get an access here. Yeah,
That's gonna be for that, like, discount tire or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
Service First.
Service
is,
Pro, yeah, something.
Auto body shop.
Now, we had, at different times have discussed changing Patterson and Delaney, where they would be either K through 1 or K through 1, and one of them be 2nd through 4th. If that's the case, then they won't be turning right. It's possible they could be turning left.
Patterson is less than 2 miles, so they wouldn't qualify for the bus
They
service.
wouldn't qualify for the bus service? Okay. Okay.
Council also asked us to discuss with you the idea of an alternate roadway. And what I've been able to find so far is, we own the property immediately to the north of it
Yes.
and along the west side. There is a curb cut allowed for the wellhead, and the changes in 287 intertramp and exit ramp, I think, are going to make it nearly impossible for us to have a curb cut there. I think that's my, yes.
That's when I heard that statement made at council, I had that same thought process.
So if, in terms of conversation of making a more secure roadway, is there any potential to consider that a roadway would acquire the property along the west side of the Kroger development and come in the corner here, perhaps, so it's a straight shot as a main entrance? Acquire property for a roadway along here. I know I have a concern because that's the drainage.
This is your property.
I understand that.
There's a, it would have to be over, there's a gas main that runs along this
So
property.
it would have to be shifted over.
It would have to be shifted over.
You worked on that easement, right?
Yes.
You were part of the one, sorry, we've had meetings before about the easement.
I just, again, they wanted us to look at that. I'm saying, have we had a chance, or you all had a chance to look at the cost, if that was a necessity, if we felt that was needed, and have a
My
refigure?
concern is the spacing, I have to check the spacing from this driveway. It's gonna be,
From here to here is about equal to here.
right, it might be, I just have to check it, but.
I don't know what the costs are, and I think we have a problem because that's the detention structure, and it all sheet feeds across.
Correct.
So we're gonna have an engineering issue with the road there. Would you have a chance to look and see the feasibility of it? I know it's a cost issue.
I'd have to take a look at it. I mean, the drainage would be isn't necessarily that much of a concern to me. With the sheet flow, I mean, we can design it to work. That sheet flow is, discharges about less than an inch deep. So, I've gone out and watched that system work. I designed it, so I enjoy watching it.
But there would have to be,
But-
you'd have to have culvert.
No, I would just do what's called a low water crossing.
Non-curb or
Mhm.
curb.
Yep, no curbs. Just press the roadway down enough. Like I said, that water sheet flowing at about an inch deep, so it's not gonna be anything more than you see it at every other time.
And there were some statements made about Kroger making sure that if that is the bus route along the existing roadway behind, that, again, my concern is the space is there, but when you have 2 or 4 18-wheelers in, cars, trucks, smaller trucks are parked on either
Right,
side, how would they deal with that in the morning?
Kroger has 5 bays, and that is a public access easement. So if that did become an issue, they would be served notice that they have to honor the easement. They have to allow, full access of that easement. Kroger has 5 dock doors and 2 stand side bays that are behind those screen walls over there. There are pictures of them in that. So if they are parking their trucks there, then, that's numerous violations.
You get the big semi trucks, but it's some of those like box trucks, mom and pop stores will pull up with
Kurgan Farms,
That
where they,
18-wheeler
Good.
sales truck goes parked beside it and
well,
block it.
I don't think they can get the loading ramp because
Right.
they have lower trucks before they park. And, I mean, they'll be back to back to back to back, they take the goods, they put them in the street, because they're gonna carry them across the road from the far side.
Got it.
Didn't know, I mean, they said that Kroger would take the steps to
And what we can do is we can work with, we could talk to, like I said, UCD, who developed the Kroger and they're developing this property. We could talk to them, we can get that sign, no loading, and figure out what we gotta do to get it signed so that the drivers know and get everyone put on notice.
It's a morning thing, I haven't seen this bad later in the day, but it's a morning issue, because they get there at 6 o'clock, and they're there. And I drive there, and I have on occasion gone by just to see the frequency, and there are trucks both sides, again, it depends on their delivery days, but
Right.
they're there till
Yeah.
7:30, 8, and then they start to get their stuff in. And driving through a parking lot near where I work, there's a Kroger there, and the smaller trucks just park out in front, they park wherever they want, they don't care about the fire lane, they don't care where they stick. And our buses gonna have to navigate that as
Yeah.
they come through. And I'm more worried about them when they leave, if our kids are, if they're on the outside of the bus, away from that, they're probably safe. But if the bus is sitting this way or further down, I don't know where they're going, and I'm concerned with that.
And I sent you 5 questions that were potential. Can you address the other questions as well?
Yeah, I can. So the first question, and these are questions that, Mr. Gee, is it? G. Keep on being nasty, I'm sorry,
No,
Mr.
you're
G. I was hoping everyone else was wrong, but it's all right. It said for the other developments that they have, meaning family development, who's going to be the operator of this development? When did construction begin on each of those developments? When was construction completed, and how many units were complete for each development? All I could say is this development has an 18-month construction timeframe. For this type of product, the 100 to 150 unit is fairly typical. But, that's why I got, short notice to be able to put a lot of this stuff together. The other question was, go ahead.
Are the other developments built out?
Yes,
They're completed?
yes.
How many units in each of those?
This is 130, 135, 137. Yeah, and that's right around the sweet spot for this type of product. This isn't technically single-family detached. The new trend in rental communities is to provide people more with a home-like feel. And they're targeting renters who choose to rent. If you reverse engineer this rent, it comes out to, getting a $300,000 mortgage. And it's for people who choose to rent. It's not for necessarily people who have to rent. It's just, a lot of people choose not to own homes these days,
And part of our comfort level is wanting to know what they had done to see that as a model for how this would go. So they built the other 2 developments?
Correct. And so I have some stats to developments in Arizona. And there are some single-family for-rent products now in this area. There's one in Grand Prairie, Arlington's getting one built now. So I can get you the rental data on those ones also, so you can see what the rental looks like for the single-family for rent. I can get you those rates. But, so a typical, and I'm just looking at it here, a typical, let's see, two-bedroom, traditional multifamily in the Arizona area where they built, it was about $1,500, where it was, a two-bedroom was about $1,650. So they get about $150 more rent in the Arizona market than they are here. In this market, they're targeting $1,900 for a two-bedroom and just over $2,000 for the 2,100 for the three bedrooms.
2,200.
22 is what they said. Yep, 22, that's.
Yeah. The other question, oh, go ahead.
It's my understanding that they hadn't even closed on the property in Arizona.
No, the Arizona's been built out.
It's already built
Mhm.
out, but have they rented it all out?
They're probably about 85% leased right now.
Okay, because that's the thing, that's where I want to know where they're getting their data from, you know, when they're telling us 10%, you know, and.
So that data is coming from that report that was put out by the National Home Builders Association.
Okay.
It was a study by, the Home Builders Association, looked across the United States, and I sent that document in this attachment just in case, it wasn't provided to you last time, but that's what that data is coming from.
Can you get their actual data, if there are children in those other developments?
Yeah, so that's where it gets sticky, because the Fair Housing Act actually lists families as a protected class. So just like you can't ask how many people of color, how many people of this sexual origin, how many people with handicaps, disabilities, you can't ask how many families. In 2016, the Obama administration got families listed as a protected class because, quite frankly, HUD determined that in a lot of housing situations, families were being frowned upon. So they're not allowed to compile that data. They're not allowed to do that data. You're not allowed to, cities in zoning cases aren't allowed to make decisions based on that data. So it's a sticky situation, and it comes up a lot that people want to know this information. And I think that's why the National Home Builders Association built that, conducted that study to provide a broad range of that information, but, because the question comes up a lot.
Pointed out at the council meeting, we just conducted a study with UTA. We were looking at some other studies where we're gathering information to know our boundary lines and shifting. We have 2 elementary schools. That's our main concern, is our 2 elementary schools and the density at those 2 schools. We got room at our upper levels. It's our lower grade levels that we don't have room, and that's our really our main concern. And how many children this could potentially bring in is definitely going to affect Delaney Elementary School. So.
And it's a difference between our school with our numbers versus, say, Arlington, the number of students that they have. If you're saying you add to Kennedale, if you add 100 students, well, we got problems finding spaces for them. If you say add 100 students to Arlington, no problem, we just move them around. So that's the concern, that once they're there, if they're lumped, all of them, say all of them are first graders, all of a sudden now you got a problem with having a classroom.
So what's your guys' concern with the, just curiosity, all the empty land down south that's all zoned single family, and, when a major home builder comes in and puts 500 units, plots 500 units on the ground and, gets the.
There's not much of that left in Canada.
Nope.
The only place Arlington could do that would be.
No, I'm just saying down in Kennedale, if you go south of Kennedale, there's a lot of vacant land down there.
Mansfield ISD.
That's Mansfield ISD, got it.
Most of it's not even in our district.
Got it.
But again, Arlington doesn't have much left except for Tierra Verde. I don't see them plunking down high density. They talk about retirement communities. So that, again, this corridor is where the opportunity was for a higher density plan. And, I appreciate a study by someone else. The most verifiable data is what your actual experience is. And they said, could be 8, could be 13.
Right, because they're relying on that, they were relying on that report because they can't, they're not allowed to compile that data.
They can't share it, again, it just leaves us, we're all speculating. And that's, doesn't give me a lot of confidence to speculate too much, but that's okay.
Right, and the last question was regards to the access, and
So
So text dot, I mean, that's the other thing, there was a question whether there could be anything, but can you go over the text dot that there's absolutely no? We'd have to submit we did submit a concept permit plan, to get access for this lot, on this lot's property, and it got denied. We'd have to go through that whole process, about a 6-week process
I don't think we can get it done before the next
to
meeting.
get it down and to get it, you know, to go across your property. You know, additionally, you know, someday you guys are gonna have plans for that property, and, you know, if we do something to it, then, you know, you're gonna have dedicated an easement, and then what if that easement doesn't fit what you want? Now it's, you know, it's not gonna be a,
Again, I wanted us to try to comply with what Audit has asked for, and you're seeing what I'm seeing. I just don't think that we'll manage a curb cut with one north and.
no, you know, in my opinion, I truly believe that access, I mean, take outside the truck situation that you've noticed, which, you know, I think we can definitely handle with, you know, no load-in, no unloading signs, you know, no parking signs all up and down that corridor. You know, that access behind that Kroger, you know, suits this development just fine. You know, I shop at that Kroger, I never use that access. You know, I go down to the very next one, you know, cut in front of the store. Most people don't want to cut behind the store. So to your question that, you know, would it primarily be used only by the residences, you know, the townhomes, I'd say yes, other than, like you said, the load-in area. But that's a great load-in area. I mean, Arlington did well at governing that because they knew this site to the north was gonna need to develop. You know, with the screen walls, with the, you know, the landscaping we're gonna do on our side to screen that Kroger and that load-in area for our residents. I think it's, you know, it's a good plan. And this development was very thought out.
What about that green space in front of you?
That's the detention pond for the Kroger, for the LA Fitness site.
Okay.
That is the drainage.
Drainage?
Structure starts.
What do you call it?
Trapezoid where it is.
Yeah, it's the drainage pond with the level spreader that makes it so we're not sending erosive, dang, I'm sorry, it's late.
Them too.
Flows downstream to you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Question on the bus stop. So I see, I think this picture is at, picture 5. Picture 5. So it's saying that the bus stop is it gonna be under the line or next to the line?
Oh, you know what, it is, if you look at the plan view, and I apologize for that, I didn't catch that when I probably should, but the bus stop's gonna be under the line. If you look at the plan view,
Yeah, it looks like there's a little closer.
yeah, because when we looked at it, I said, you know, I said, you can't really let the bus turn, let's do it,
So you are gonna build the sidewalk with the concrete covered in. Is there any thought as far as like a covering or something for kids if they're sitting out there?
That has not been discussed at this time. You know, is there any development in that area that's gonna take place? No. No, that's, no.
That's all the pond.
Yeah,
That
that's
whole
all.
thing is the pond?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, knowing some parents, kids getting dropped off, they're gonna drive out to that area and are they
And
gonna?
wait.
Yeah, and wait. You know, I gotta go pick up my little baby.
Right. Rather than walking, but.
Yeah, rather than walking. Or it's raining and I wanna go.
Right. No, I get
So do you worry about that entrance being blocked off or having room for somebody to?
There's definitely room for somebody to turn around. That is a very, if you look at those pictures, that is a very large area. I mean, if you look at the school bus, I had to ask my designer, I said, is that school bus to scale? Is this to scale? And it is to scale. Because, you know, that school bus just looks tiny in that drop-off area. But it is that large out there. You know, it's big enough for an 18-wheeler to turn around. You know, we can look at that. We can look at, you know, how cars would stack. I mean, if that's a concern. You know, that'd probably be a concern, quite frankly, of the fire department too, so it's probably something we should.
It's gonna be a concern of the residents too, that you know, I'm trying to get out and I got all these cars in front of me picking up kids. And you guys only have that one entrance coming out of that?
That's the main entrance, yes, that's the main entrance that's gonna be active. The other entrance that is to the east behind Kroger,
Okay,
that is an emergency access only. It has a Knox box on it, the fire department has a key to get in.
Right.
If the main entrance for some reason disabled, the fire department can get in.
okay. Okay.
And I don't remember off the top of my head, is this a TH 30, 20, or MF 20 or 30?
It's technically, it's MF 22, but we have a density of 9 units per acre.
Right, right. So it's MF 22, so heaven forbid, you're not able to make this work, and they come and bring 22.
No, we're in a plan development, which is tied to a specific site plan. The site plan includes architecture of the buildings, unit count, landscaping, parking, number of garages. I mean, what gets put in that PD ordinance is very tight.
So your PD is for
9 units per acre. You have to start with a base zoning and then start building your differentials off that. And the base zoning that we start with is the RMF 22.
And so, once change the zoning of MF 22, but your PD is 9, if you had to abandon the project or sold it off, that would be the zoning that would be available for the person who acquires it.
The PD.
Only with the PD.
Yeah.
It has to, it's a PD, so what we're showing has to be built.
Right, but if
If
you.
they change anything, it has to be go back through the process.
So, and another if y'all said, financially can't do it, we sell it off, you would still have that PD designation, and if they didn't build that, in that configuration, they'd have to go back and go through the process for a different PD.
Correct.
It would not revert back to a higher density.
No, a community commercial is what it is now.
They could go in with 22 and be in compliance with the existing planning for the existing zoning to the site.
Even under your PD.
Not
No.
comply with all codes.
Well, if I understood, the PDs oftentimes, like, the whole ordinance for that, it's an ordinance for that particular zone.
Correct.
So if your plan is for 9, but if someone came in after you because you couldn't build it, they don't have to follow the 9, they could go to 22.
No, they have to follow the 9.
If they build our plan,
Okay.
If they don't build our plan, they have to go back through the whole process.
Okay.
they could ask for 22, 20, whatever.
So if y'all build it and then they sell it, okay, it can't change, they'd have to go through, it's already built.
Yep, they can't change unit count, they can't change unit size, they can't change unit mix, they can't convert 2 bedrooms to 3 bedrooms. That's all locked in with the PD documents.
It's only if it's not built, they could say, we can't do this, and go back and ask for it.
And go back and ask for an amendment.
Once it's built, it has to stay.
Now, the only thing they could do is they could potentially condominiumize it and sell them off one by one, but that's not their plan.
More families could come, that's our speculation, we just don't know.
Right, their pro forma, their financing, their equity partners, it's all based on the pro forma that they're presenting. They do significant research, significant cost added to get equity, to build this project. A lot of the equity partners on these projects are quite frankly, your pension plans. I mean, if you look at your school's pension plan, you probably have some multifamily investment in it. The life insurance companies, they're good assets, to have that those companies like to invest in and own. So their pro forma is based on their projected rents. So if they don't get their rents, it's not a matter of,
Investments do lose money.
No, I fully understand. But they're sophisticated, investment strategies in today's market, so.
And that's why I think the questions about what the other developers are doing are giving us some indication of their ability to meet those targeted demographics and achieve those rents. If there are problems with that, I would say that I'd be concerned there could be problems here. I don't know that, what product is like this around here? Nothing. You're right, it's unique in some respects.
Well, the townhome rental product's unique. The single-family rental, where they're all detached and they're all these little 900-square-foot homes. There's one right now being built down on Debbie Lane and 360. There's one in Grand Prairie called the Villa. Fort Worth has about 4 of them. I can get you the data and the rentals on those and the absorption rates, and let you know how much they're leased up. But the townhome product for rent, like you said, is unique. The characteristic of the townhome products is you can put in a 2-car garage. Those single family for rents, 900 square foot cottage homes, they call them. You know, they typically don't have a garage, you're still parking in a parking lot, you know, you don't have your own driveway. Here, you know, you have your own two-car garage, so that's the appeal to them.
Any additional questions?
I like the location of the bus stop as far as access for the students to get, you know, they're not having to go too far down the road there. The only thing I think, and I like that it's under the security lights that already exist, especially knowing like in the wintertime, it's dark at 7 a.m. still for those kids, whatever. The only thing I mean, if we're able to request anything, I would like some sort of a cover or seating, something to say this is for a bus stop for kids. You know, it's not just some random thing for people to hang out at. You know, somewhere if mom's got to drop off Susie on her way out, it's like that's a secure spot. It's not just some kind of plot of concrete that's just standing out in the middle of that field. That's one thing I like.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think especially as we go to pre-K, 4-year-old kids sitting out there at 7 a.m. in the morning.
I definitely leave a 4-year-old.
That's not for me to.
Right.
That's not for me to.
Don't assume that.
You see some things,
I
Johnny.
wish that was our world. I would say, I would definitely be, I'd be interested to see the numbers from Fort Worth and from those other properties.
As far as the rental
That might
rates?
tell us a lot
Right,
more.
I can give you the rental rates, like I said, we can't get you the children count, we can't get you demographics, but I can get you the rental, what the price point is, and I can get you the absorption
Because
rates.
at least that's around here, Arizona, I mean.
It's a little different, a little bit of difference.
Well, I know that this is relatively new for them in Texas. And for me, I would just feel a lot more comfortable if I had 5-year performance data, what does it look like? I mean, does it still look the same way after 5 years? You know, versus what it is that you say it's going to be. So, that is the only thing that makes me a little uneasy because, you know, like John said, we just don't know, you know, and it's the thing that's going to, make sure that I'm comfortable with is if I've seen it. And so if they've done it and I can see what it looks like after 5 years and it's the same, I feel a whole lot more comfortable.
I understand that, you know, today's, you know, building materials and the way building code is, you know, they're using all cement, fiberboard material, you know, stone, you know, masonry stone on the lower levels, you know, just the way this stuff is built today with today's building materials, you know, they're made to last. You know, cement fiberboard material, you paint it and you don't have to paint it again for another 15 years. You know, so I understand that, but, you know, that's the draw to, you know, to the, I guess, the upside to the way construction code is going, is that things are being made to look good for a longer time. But, you know, the landscape ordinance in Arlington, and Cliff will tell you, because he wrote it, is pretty tough. And, you know, the city of Arlington, you know, they do a good job at enforcing it, especially when it comes to trees. You know, annual flowers and whatnot, you know, but on a priority, but the trees are definitely a priority. You know, there are very little trees on that site now. You know, we are gonna be planting, I have to get the count, but a significant number of trees, so.
And my apologies, I think I must have just not explained myself well. I was thinking about the, let's just call it the occupancy model. Is the occupancy model still the same 5 years down the road?
Got it.
All those other properties are built out.
Right. Are they still demanding the same rents, right? If I've done the.
Same rent, same family size, and what you're looking to project.
When I research these other local, single-family for-rent ones, I'll find out when they were constructed and what they started out projecting rents and what they are getting rents.
We had a meeting today. We have a design review committee in Arlington. We have a monthly meeting and we discuss topics. And Bob Kimball, who's done the Viridian development in Arlington, North Arlington, he's working on right now with the city on requiring all multifamily developments to put money away for ongoing upkeep and repair. In other words, all the rent money and all the profits just don't go to the owners. It has to stay in the building. And that's gaining traction with the city because up by Lamar and a couple other areas in town, we've had some really nice projects that have gone downhill. They were built 50 years ago. but the rent they're getting today is a lot more than they got 50 years ago. I mean, that's gonna happen too. But everybody's really excited about this thing, about keeping some money in the till for upgrades and repairs.
Another issue that I thought about is, Kendall, we have a tight housing market. When a house comes up big enough for a family, it's competitively bid, prices run up on it, and there are waiting periods. And so again, I know they're saying the rent is gonna be what's controlling it, but you have people that will probably think about renting a townhome 6 months or a year, waiting for something to open up in the housing market within Kendall ISD. So, I don't see it as necessarily as people moving an apartment they don't like to this. I see that there may be some pressure from a family standpoint because they want to have their kids go to school there. And I don't know how to gauge or measure.
Well, I just listened to your report, so yeah, I can see why they would want to go to schools here. Just curious, that South Point Villas that I saw when I drove by,
Yep.
how does that impact your school district?
You've got students coming out of there. You've got, I know that there are kids that moved from Fort Worth to get into our school district, moved into that
Do you get an
complex.
approximate number of students coming out there?
It's 170 homes, and the estimate that I believe the city got is they thought they would have 40 to 50 perhaps out of those homes.
Out of that apartment complex?
No, not the complex. I thought you
Oh,
were talking
no,
about-
no, I'm
No,
talking
he's
about,
talking about that. They just renamed that.
they just named it, okay.
The one at the corner of 287 and
Yeah, when you turn in and get here. Yeah, but, so you don't know how many students, you
No,
don't know
but
how many students you
you
get?
go through there, say in the afternoon after the high school turns out, there's a lot of kids headed that way.
You're talking about the,
The
One
apartment.
in front of the high school, like off 287, they just changed the name of it.
Off of Median?
Yeah,
Oh,
off
yeah,
of Median.
yeah.
Copper, was it Copperfield or something like that?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Copperfield.
And now it's,
Okay,
they
I can
just
tell you,
changed.
we get about 60 students out of that.
60. And what is that? That's probably 325 units?
I think I gave the number to Arlington. I thought it was,
I didn't think it was that many.
no, it was 200, it might 280 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, and it met the 30 per acre. Yeah, they haven't sent you a lot of buffer, but the complex.
Yo, it's a big complex.
And you gotta also remember, especially a school that is desirable, either athletically or academically, people will move into that district, buy a home, or in a lot of cases, rent an apartment for, say, 2 years to get their child to graduate from that high school because of the opportunities. I know people that have done that. There's a lot of people, we're getting a lot of kids that haven't went all the way through Kennedale, but come in at the high school level. We've got, like I said, good sports, good academics, all that. So you're looking at it as a parent, that's a 2 to 4 year investment to have an address within the district that the kids can go. And, you know, we don't want to get caught up in the same situation with this one and not be prepared for it.
I think if you can get us some data that says for those completed developments, you know, occupancy rate, rental rates, have they been able, with the rental rates they have, and I guess the level of rentals, have they been able to maintain those even if they have some leased out? But that tells me the plan probably works for the dollar. I just don't know about comparing that apple with our orange.
Right.
Yeah. And is those other apartments, the Arizona apartments, are they targeted towards seniors? Or
No.
the same?
Yep, same deal.
Okay.
Like I said, I was gonna research the single-family for rental products in Tarrant County. I wasn't even gonna venture to Austin, where it's insane. The single-family rental community down there is insane. But yeah, the ones I know of in Tarrant County, I know 4 in Fort Worth, and it's all done by one company. So Next Metro is the big company that's making the push around here, so.
Any other questions? Appreciate you taking the time, come out, and try
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
talk to the issues and see if we can get.
You know, so, like I told Chad, you know, apologize for not getting in front of you guys sooner. You know, we'll learn, you know, I mean, it's.
I'm not blaming y'all, I mean, historically, we've had a problem with Arlington, we're always at the end of the process.
You received a notification of this proceeding from the city of Arlington, right?
went to the zoning change.
Right before the planning
That's
and
the only time
zoning.
we got
Yeah.
nothing.
Just like
before.
everybody else does, right?
Yeah. So we got nothing that, my hope is that NEC would say, okay, well, who's affected by this? If there's a different governmental entity, saying, okay, let's make sure we at least communicate. If they want to bring somebody on board, I mean, we just don't have that opportunity.
Yeah, the problem is that when we submit our application, but until our application is fully accepted and we get placed on an agenda, they can't notice. And so we'll work on our application sometimes for 4 or 5 months before they officially accept our application. And at that point, they notice everybody, so it's.
I think that's where the flaw in the system is that, the process doesn't account for our needs, doesn't account for, y'all are looking at one aspect of it, we're looking at it from another, but then all of a sudden, we're supposed to just say, okay, and we have serious concerns because those things weren't addressed, and I think that's where the process.
And it's not the first time it's been done.
If it was,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
my point.
And it's not your fault, I mean,
Yeah.
Or
it's
neither are
just
the
a
other ones.
process.
if you were building a different property and where it was just straight apartments, you got the approval from the city of Arlington and not tell us, and we have to deal with those students, we'd have problems.
Right. So if I was building $135,000, $300,000 homes in the city of Kennedale, would the city of Kennedale notify you?
Yes, we'd be involved at least with the
We
meetings.
generally get a notice from the planning department that this is an issue, we're having a conversation, see if we have an input, or direct them to at least talk to us. I mean,
I know that we're not fast growth. I think at one point you look at Alito, fast growth, development after development after development. If those developments just come in and the city doesn't work with the school district, they're not gonna have room in the schools to deal with those students. There's gotta be some planning, there's gotta be some development, there's gotta be a process that's worked through. Those are fast growth districts. We're not fast growth, but the reality is we only have so many buildings, and those buildings, we only have so many classrooms. And, one of our concerns is that we're gonna have to have full-day pre-K in another year and a half, or we're gonna have to have full-day pre-K. Well, that's more classrooms, and space becomes an issue. And if we're gonna have to sit there and build more buildings, then that means bonds. And, so this is where the planning and the mutual respect, I think, from the cities and from the school districts has to work
I
together.
mean, you have the land to build.
Yeah, but then you also have the quality of the education that you're giving the kid. If say, right now, we're doing classrooms of size, say, 15 to 18, and all of a sudden that 15 to 18 changes from 20 to 25, the quality of the education actually has changed. You're not getting, your child is not getting the education that what it was before. Your child is also not getting the opportunity, for whatever they wanted to do. Having one-on-one with the teacher, being able to talk to different things. So it shifts a lot of the perspectives of it's a good school district versus it's an okay school district. And if you've got, classrooms of, say, 15, 18 students, that's a good teacher ratio.
Right.
But if you got, some of the schools around us, 25 to 30 per student, per teacher, first of all, is you gonna have a teacher that wants to work in that district?
Right.
And do you want to put your child in that district and expect him to get an education where he can go to any school that he wants to after that?
Right.
Does he want to go to Harvard? Does he want to go to Georgia Tech? And we've got kids that are doing that.
Right, I get it. With same instance, the city of Arlington has to promote and provide fair and adequate housing for its citizens, and, all of its citizens are in.
Yeah.
Arlington doesn't have a lot of land, and, this is a product that, fits a niche need for its citizens, and, just have, sitting in your school district. So there's a big balance, and you're right. I mean, it's.
So from the time Robertson's converted to a retail district, on the planning and Auditing converted retail. So from our planning, we weren't planning on housing here, we were
Right.
planning on retail going in, because that's what the plan switched to. Now this little component changes. We don't have the ability to make up for that marginal increase in costs, like for impact fees for sewer, water, and road. If the impact is great enough, it's a multi-million-dollar improvement for a structure that your development contributed to, might have pushed us over the edge. And again, that's why we have to look long range. This was not intended to be residential. Everything we had from Arlington, once the Albertsons hit. And that's,
And that was, yeah.
and they just, again, Arlington changed because all of a sudden it was valuable for that. Okay, I recognize that. But this is not what was on the plan for our plan. But thank you all.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that that completes our agenda. Without hearing any objection, I will gavel us adjourned. Objection? We are adjourned. Thank you all for attending.